Let's transform this dated oak dining table into something spectacular with old world style using resin and a mural. It's going to be pretty awesome. After cleaning the table, we gave it a good base coat of white paint using Deco Art Chalky Finish, which just sticks to everything. It's sort of a primer and a paint all in one. So we did that in a white color. Then for the base, we used another chalky finish color in a nice deep gray color. We kind of just wanted the base to sort of disappear, so this dark color really helps with that. We just brush it into all the nooks and crannies. When the paint was dry, we just used some of the coordinating Americana Decor varnish to seal the paint in and give it a nice durable finish. Just brushed it on right over top of the paint. Now for the mural, we actually went to Limitless Walls, where we were able to find this perfect old world style mural. We customized it to the size of the table, kind of tweaked the measurements a little bit, and got a couple of copies printed. And when this stuff came, I'm telling you, it looked incredible. The quality on this was just unlike any wallpaper mural we've ever seen before. I mean, it's tough, tear resistant. We actually got 2 copies of the mural. We started out by cutting one of them huge to cover the table as well as we could. And then for the second copy, we just cut out some shapes of things that we liked, the items that we wanted to really make 3D. We sort of played with them on the piece and kind of laid them out in a way that it sort of made sense how we might want to overlap the different elements to give it a real nice 3D look. So this was a lot of fun kind of playing around with that. So we cut out the big oval on one of them and we took it outside and sprayed some spray adhesive on the back of it to make it nice and sticky. And then we centered it on the table and smoothed it out and got rid of all of the air bubbles so that it would be ready. We wanted some trim around the edge of the mural and the edge of the table, but we couldn't find anything that was flexible enough and inexpensive enough to be able to use until we found this foam window seal. Now, this stuff was really flexible, really inexpensive, and exactly the size that we wanted, and we could make it into a nice curve. So we just hot glued it to the edge of the table and around the edge of the oval in the middle of the table, and then we coated it with some paintable caulk to seal it in. So what we actually ended up creating was a really nice ledge that would hold all of our resin and give a nice frame around the piece, and it cost under $10, so it was a really good trick. To fill the edges, we had some plastic trim pieces that we had gotten at a flea market, I think. Just some random trim pieces, and we just hot glued them down and filled it all around the edge and made it as ornate as possible. We really wanted this to look like it came off of the ceiling of like a cathedral in Rome or something like that. So we just glued that all in and filled the whole channel. Now, to make it all look like it was one and not an applique, we put plenty of paint. We used that Americana Decor Chalky Finish paint again and just slopped it on because we really wanted this to look like plaster that had been aged. If it cracked a little, that was even better because we really wanted that old world look. Look how cool it looks once it's all painted and ready to go. Ah, it's beautiful. Finally, it was time to put on the resin, and we reached for our Moss Tabletop Resin Epoxy. This is a great thing to use for this. We mixed it up according to the package directions, part A and part B, stirred it together really well, and we were really excited to finally be able to pour it onto our table. This is what we've been waiting for. Oh, and when it went on, it was just gorgeous. Look at that. Just instant gloss and shine. We poured it straight over the mural in the middle of the table, spread it out really evenly with our hands to get a nice thin coat because we really just wanted to get a seal coat down on this mural. Then we started pouring it in the sides. We went as much as we could and kind of filled it a little bit at a time, spread it all out in the nooks and crannies, and of course used our heat gun to pop any bubbles that showed up as we were working on it. When the first layer was dry, we were ready to add the second layer. Remember those pieces we cut out of the mural before? We went ahead and placed them again to test to make sure we still liked how they worked. We doubled up on the cloud and a couple of the angels. And then we were ready to attach it. We just spread a little bit of resin on the spot where we wanted it to go, sort of as a glue. And then we just put the piece right on top and press it into place. Once these set up and dried, it's going to give it that nice dimension and make the pieces look like they're kind of popping off the surface, which is a really cool effect. We went ahead and did 3 pieces, actually, the cloud at the bottom, the big pink angel, and then the other angel and cloud over on the side, just to give it that little bit of dimension. And then to seal it in, we just went ahead and spread another layer of resin over the top. We did not worry about covering the whole table at this point. We were just trying to cover that little bit. This is one of our favorite parts about the project, actually, having this little bit of depth and dimension to the pieces. We just love how it came out. When that was all dry, we gave everything a quick scuff sanding, and we moved on to add another coat. From here on, we just kept on mixing up batches of tabletop epoxy. We started going with larger containers because we realized the table was really going to take a lot of resin to cover, and we just stirred it all up and poured it on the top. We did pretty thin layers, and we just poured it on, smoothed it around, and just kept on going until it was filled. We had that 3/4 inch channel there on the side that we needed to fill to really cover up all of those trim pieces around the edge and of course in the middle. We did a little scuff sand between each layer, and we of course used our heat gun to pop all the bubbles as we went. This actually took a little bit of time to do to get all of the layers to dry individually as we went. I don't remember how many layers we did, but we definitely used a lot of epoxy to fill those holes, and it just kept getting better and better the more that we did. As we filled the side more and more, the trim started to get embedded down in that resin and really took on a lot of depth. You can see we're almost up to the edge here. We still need another coat or two to get that smooth surface across the top. When we finally got the table full enough of resin that it started to pour over the edge, this was great. And so we were very careful to use a gloved hand to just sort of spread it around and get a nice clean coat on the edge. And then when it was all dry, when the last coat was all dry, finally, we were able to sand all of those drips that came over the edge. That was not a big deal just to sand those off. That came off no problem. And of course, we had plenty of tarp on the floor to catch any drips that landed on the floor. And that was pretty messy by the time we were done. And when it was all done, we could not believe the results. I mean, it's just glorious. Look at how it shines in the light, that perfect glass top finish, that depth from those 3D angels that we popped up off the surface a little bit. And the whole thing just looks like it came right off the ceiling of an old Italian church. It came out exactly as Jo envisioned it in her mind when we came up with this project. We were thrilled with the way that it came out. This mural from Limitless Walls was perfect for this, and it was so easy to customize to the shape of the table. And the Moss tabletop epoxy worked great for this project. It has a perfect clear and shiny finish. This table is definitely a showstopper in Jo's home and a spectacular addition to her dining room. We love how it came out, and it's a real statement piece. It's also a great conversation starter because people cannot believe we made it ourselves. This table is such a fun example of the power of resin and the cool effects you can get with some imagination and unconventional materials and layering. You can use this technique on a smaller scale too for an end table or a coffee table, so we encourage you to try it out. We love doing unexpected projects like this, so be sure to subscribe below so you don't miss our next fun idea, and visit our blog at chicaandjo.com for more details on this and any of our projects.